Now, I recognize that Nick Kypreos has a reputation when it comes to reporting on Toronto Maple Leaf stuff, but that doesn't mean we're not allowed to talk about it, because earlier this morning on the Sportsnet radio network, I believe this was on the Fan 590, on Real Kipper and Board, I'm just assuming here, if I'm wrong then somebody please go out there in the comments and correct me, but Nick Kypreos dropped a bomb on the radio yesterday, speaking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the idea of them potentially stripping the captaincy of John Tavares. From what I'm hearing, the Leafs are contemplating taking the captaincy away from him and giving it to Austin. They will talk about it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is real. This tweet was posted by Leafs Latest earlier yesterday, and it's garnered a really interesting amount of discussion. Of course, I mean, we're talking about Toronto, we're talking about some of the most overpaid superstars in the NHL, we're talking about one of the teams with the most dire cap situations in the NHL, so any sort of negative story that involves one of their top guys and controversy attached to it, it's always going to get a lot of people talking. So let's go over this John Tavares idea and just see some of the replies to get our discussion going here. Top reply from Matthew O'Neill says, as much as I think John Tavares does not deserve it, I don't really think Austin Matthews does either. There's more to being a captain and scoring goals. You need leadership skills, and Austin doesn't have that. The dude literally starts fights and gets his teammates to finish them. Another reply says, this is disrespectful as hell, and a massive mistake if it's done. JT, regardless of his performance, has been their best leader in decades. Makes sense. Matthews is the straw that stirs the drink. Put an A on Tavares, and while you're at it, take the A off Mitch and put it on Tanev. Wendell did it for Dougie. They will probably talk to JT. I can see him being willing to pass on the captaincy. Let someone new take the reins. He's been captain for many years with the Islanders and now the Leafs. I'm sure he wouldn't mind just playing. And then there are other conversations as to what the Maple Leafs should do instead. I wanted to respond to some of these ideas because they do open the door to a bigger conversation as to Toronto leadership. If I were Brad Treliving, or whoever it is that's in charge of these decisions to name captains or not, if I was the guy in charge, would I necessarily strip John Tavares of the captaincy? Honestly, no, I don't think that really accomplishes anything. I don't think this is the right time to do something like that. There's another comment here that talks about how John Tavares only has a year left in his contract, so why would you go out there and make this kind of a move right now? At the very least, you can wait for next year. When John Tavares' contract expires, he'll become a free agent, and then at that time you can say, okay, we don't know if he's going to come back, so, Austin Matthews, you're the new captain. If we do re-sign John Tavares, then we can just give him the A. Tavares can pass on that captaincy to the new guy, and Matthews will be the captain for the next 10 years or whatever. Like, there's an appropriate timeline for mapping things out that coincides with the years of their contracts. It works out that way. To make some sort of a decision where you're getting rid of the captaincy now, before 2024, 2025, I feel like it's a little bit rash, and I think it's kind of a move that you're forcing to happen just because you want to indicate, yeah, we need to make a big change right now, we're desperate to do that, so everything from the D-core to the forwards, we're going to trade Marner away, and then we're going to change the captaincy. Like, it seems sort of like a panicky, desperation type move to try to incite any form of immediate change, whether that's positive or negative. Now, when it comes to Austin Matthews being the captain, look, he's probably going to get that captaincy one day. If it's not this upcoming season, it'll probably be sometime down the line when John Tavares is no longer in Toronto. Is he ready for it? I don't know. Is he ready for it now? I don't know. You see, we've had younger captains in the NHL in the past, guys who happen to have been top draft picks, not necessarily first overall, but guys that do have high draft pedigree. The first overall players, Nico Hischier, Connor McDavid. You had the Gabe Landeskog's near up the top of the draft being given captaincies right away in their careers. Jonathan Toews, same example. You could understand why these players were given those captaincies, but I don't know if Austin Matthews necessarily has those same leadership qualities at this point in his career. Like, I don't know if that's just me speculating or taking a look at what we've been presented with as fans of the NHL, but I can understand the sentiment from some fans that says, hey, I don't know if Austin Matthews is that kind of a leader just yet. Like, whether he wants to be or not, he will be given that captaincy at some point in his NHL career, and I have no doubt that by the time his career is finished, people will look at Matthews as one of the better captains purely based off of his on-ice performance. I mean, the guy's going to continually get 60 goals and 60 goals per season because he's that good. But of course, we recognize that just because you are good does not mean you necessarily need to be the captain. Either way, though, it's a curse that befalls upon many who happen to be the best players on their teams, and Auston Matthews will get that soon. It's just, right now, that seems a little bit rash, in my opinion. Honestly, I'd say that from the replies of this tweet, the majority of Maple Leafs fans that are responding to this seem to be very against the idea. Not necessarily because they're against taking away the captaincy from Tavares, but because they're against giving it to Auston right away. I'm trying to be nice in the way I'm talking about it here on YouTube because I don't want to make it seem disrespectful, and man, a lot of Leafs fans are not on board with the idea of Auston getting that C. You know, I think this is a good thing, to be honest, because you know eventually it is going to happen, right? So why not prime up fans to the idea of it happening sooner so that people become a little bit less disappointed when the real decision comes and Auston Matthews actually is the captain one day for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you recognize that, okay, yeah, we knew this was coming. It may not be the most well-respected or well-received piece of news, but at least it's not surprising. So maybe there is going to be some good coming out of this conversation right here by Kypreos on the radio, although it has garnered a lot of negative attention. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Auston Matthews, is he the next captain? Well, okay, no, everybody knows he is, but this year, this upcoming year, Kypreos says it's not guaranteed, but he does say they are talking about it. And at the very least, that is an interesting update. So for Johnny T, John Tavares, would this be the progression you would go down if you wanted to choose your own adventure here? I guess for John Tavares, you could say it's also like, in a way, freeing him. Because while it may be seen as disrespectful by some, you could also make the argument, hey, the guy has been the captain of most teams he has played for ever since he was a teenager, so why not give the guy a break? Why not give him a little bit of a step back for the first time in his professional hockey career, for the first time since he was 18, pretty much? Give him the opportunity to just breathe a little bit more. He doesn't need to be the guy always talking to the referees or always speaking up in the locker room, whatever. He could just be a veteran guy, because that's more so what he is nowadays, right? So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the entire Matthews, Tavares, captaincy kerfuffle situation as highlighted by Kypreos, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section as to where you think this is going to go. If it's not this upcoming year, when is it that Auston Matthews becomes the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs? If it's not even Matthews, is it somebody else? Do they just go Riley instead? Johnny T is not going to be around forever. I mean, quite literally, his contract expires next year, but assuming he does resign, when does he lose out on that captaincy? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99, and bye.